Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, smashing every strong style cinephile. And today was one of those days where you record something, and then as soon as you click on something else on the internet, you realize you have to either add some text and some other stuff to what you just recorded, or just record it all again. That is where we are right now. As MCU, Marvel Studios, and Disney just dropped a veritable atomic bomb of content all over the internet, on Twitter, on YouTube, and just gave us just almost information and sensory overload basically on what they gave us. Now on their YouTube channel they dropped trailers, behind the scenes type stuff on Miss Marvel, on WandaVision, on Falcon Winter Soldier, on Loki, on What If, just because. And then over on Twitter they dropped a whole bunch of tidbits on casting stuff, upcoming shows, and just things that they're going to do in the next year, the next couple years. And it's just, oh my god, there's so much, including we finally have a director on the MCU version of the Fantastic Four. I'm stupidly geeked for that, let me tell you. Wow, it was just sensory overload. Like my mind just exploded, and the pieces are just up there, just waiting to come down. They're in orbit at this point, so who knows if they're going to come down. It was just crazy the amount of stuff that was dropped. Now, with Miss Marvel, we got a behind-the-scenes kind of look at the casting of the lead actress. We got to look at some of the directors. We got to look at just an idea of what the show is going to be about. It's going to be, the theme is going to be about family, relationships, and just kind of where Kamala fits as this teenager who's trying to find out who she is, what she wants to do, who she wants to be in life, set against the backdrop of the craziness of the MCU at large. And we all do it. It's just cool that they're doing this, and the fact that it will actually be connected to the MCU at large, unlike the failed connections of S.H.I.E.L.D., as much as they tried to pretend that they were, and of the Netflix shows, as great as they were not connected to the MCU at large. Let's just, outside of like a wink and a nudge and just a line of dialogue here or there, they really weren't connected. Let's be real about that. So it was cool to see that and what they're going to bring forth with that. We saw a look at Loki and got more of a I guess we can speculate on the plot, where he's working for the Time Variance Authority. They're a governing body that governs the multiverse. We know multiverse shenanigans are going to be a thing going forth. We know that Loki, as well as WandaVision, is tied into the Doctor Strange sequel. We can kind of speculate that some multiverse shenanigans are going to pop off in Spider-Man 3, because Doctor Strange is going to be in there. We already know that Alfred Molina, who was Doc Ock in the Sony movies, has been cast in that movie. Will we get word that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to be a part of it? I'm just waiting for that to come down. We also know Jamie Foxx from the reboot Spider-Man movies is coming back as Electro, so they're dipping into the Sam Raimi pool as well as the Amazing Spider-Man pool. So it's just, I think it's really just academic at this point, as far as like Tobey and Andrew coming back to the fold for whatever sort of multiversal shenanigans, because with that, opening that Pandora's box, we can get more Iron Man, more Cap, we can get Black Widow back, which a lot of people want. So there's stuff that they can do with multiverse shenanigans, and I think that they're really going to do that, because the moneymakers, the cash cows for the MCU, are kind of ridden off into the sunset outside of Thor. So what can you do to bring them back? Multiverse. Different versions. Younger version, older version, doesn't matter. Multiverse. You can bring the characters back. So I think that's what they're going to do. We're going to look at What If, which What If was a great comic book series where it just, again, multiverse, Elseworlds type of storylines, where you can just, what if somebody else got bit by a radioactive spider? What if somebody else got the super soldier serum, like we see in the cartoon where Peggy Carter gets the super soldier serum? What if this happened? What if that happened? What if somebody else was turned into the Hulk? I imagine we'll get some of those things take place on What If. It was just crazy bonkers storylines where you could just, writers could just go in and just throw out just whatever against the wall and just do something with it, because it only lasts like one issue, and then the next issue it's just something else. So it'll be interesting with that sort of free reign to kind of do what they want, kill who they want, resurrect who they want within the confines of that story for that episode. It'll be interesting to kind of see where they go. If they really kind of flex their creative muscles with What If to the fullest. I'm really anxious to see about that. The animation style is kind of take a little bit of getting used to for me personally, but I think it's a cool concept. Ready to see it in action. We see from, again, like I said, Peggy Carter gets the super soldier serum. We see that T'Challa gets snatched up from Wakanda and becomes Star-Lord, so it's kind of interesting to see how that plays out. Stuff like that you can do, just it's totally different, out of left field, and you can just have fun with it because it's not going to last. So interesting to see kind of where they go with that. With WandaVision, again, we kind of see the bonkers sort of shenanigans that are going on with that show. They're within this kind of TV-based world, this sitcom-based world, and then there's a couple lines in there from Wanda where she talks about this is our world. Vision says we have to fight for, so you kind of have to wonder, and there's some voiceover where somebody's asking Wanda if somebody's doing this to her, or something to that effect. So you gotta wonder, is Wanda, has she used her reality warping powers, which we know that she has, because in the comics she's used them to a great extent to kind of affect reality, kind of change things when it involved her kids. Or she has no kids in the comic books, but she has somebody that she cares about in Vision. So Vision got killed, Infinity War. So did she use her reality warping powers to somehow bring him back to life? Is that causing unforetold damage and shenanigans and stuff like that? Or is some external force doing that, torturing her through Vision for some reason? Remains to be seen how that plays out. Just the way that from the trailers that we've seen, the teasers that we've seen of it, it's just going to be crazy off the wall type of stuff. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where people go, how far outside the box they're going with this series. And then we see a little bit of Falcon and Winter Soldier, which Falcon and Winter Soldier is at the top for me as far as like DisneyPlus shows, MCU shows that I want to see. We're going to get U.S. Agent in that. We're going to get Baron Zemo allegedly fully purple masked up and everything. Then we kind of see what happens after Cap is presumably gone, which is probably you bring in U.S. Agent because the government wants a Cap. It's kind of at their beck and call. And what kind of happens with Falcon and Winter Soldier, Bucky? Is there going to be a little schism between them? Because in the comics, Bucky was Captain America. Falcon was also Captain America. But, of course, in the MCU, Cap gave Falcon the shield. So is there going to be any sort of animosity between them? I think there's going to be some playful buddy cop type of digs between them. We already saw that play out in Civil War. And we see some kind of shots taken at each other for funnies, for funs, as is standard for the MCU at this point. We see that play out in the teaser for the show. So I imagine that it'll be a lot of that going forward. We saw some of Falcon in action. We see he's got a new suit, which looks cool. And we see from the scenes that they had with Falcon that they really threw some money into this, and that they're really going full tilt with the idea that these are going to be sort of like small scale, movies. So it'll be interesting to see if they really live up to that standard for every episode, or is it going to be a slow burn in a couple of episodes, kind of save on some budget, to then have like every couple episodes have a big battle. And of course, I'm not sure if the episode count was laid out. Might have been somewhere. But it'd be interesting to see how many episodes, how long the episodes are. I'm assuming they're going to be 40 minutes, 50 minutes, that sort of thing. So it's just cool to kind of see what's going forward. And like I said, I was about to cut this video when I saw on Twitter the other stuff that was being thrown up on Twitter about some of the other shows. So I'll jump to talking about that and then be back here in a moment. Peyton Reed is going to be back to direct the third Ant-Man film, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which the biggest news of all for that, for me personally, is that Jonathan Majors, as rumored, is going to be Kang the Conqueror. Kang the Conqueror is a huge Avengers level threat, so kind of seeing him in Ant-Man, it's going to be curious to kind of see how that plays out. I have faith in Peyton Reed as well as Paul Rudd and the performances that will be brought for that film. And of course, John Watts will direct the new Fantastic Four movie. This has been a long time coming as far as the news and who will be the person to take the helm of Fantastic Four. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. I am a huge Thing fan. The first comic book I remember collecting as a kid may not have been the first comic book, and in fact I don't think it was, but the first one I remember collecting as a kid was the Fantastic Four. So I've just been waiting for this to be redone. I love the Fantastic Four so much. I even have the Roger Corman bootleg movie on VHS. That's how much I love Fantastic Four. I've seen the Tim Story movies. I think I actually have those on Blu-ray as well. First one was okay. Second one sucked. Fant Four Stick is on streaming on DisneyPlus. I have not watched Fant Four Stick. Like, I think I need to, just to be able to say I did. But part of me is like, I just don't want to endure that pain of that movie. But also, DisneyPlus is also bringing more original TV, because we're going to get Samuel L. Jackson back as Nick Fury, Ben Mendelsohn from Captain Marvel as Talos in the Marvel Studios original series Secret Invasion. Of course, Secret Invasion in the comic books was the Skrulls had invaded some deep cover type stuff, had impersonated a number of heroes, trapped them, and they went through a whole bunch of shenanigans as they came back. So it'll be interesting to kind of see, because I don't think they could play it on as grand a scale as they did in the comics, so it'll kind of interesting to see how they dial it down for DisneyPlus. Ironheart, which a lot of people have been wanting and clamoring for since the snap and Tony died in MCU, and the thought of MCU going on without Iron Man, without Tony Stark. People were wanting Riri Williams from Marvel Comics, who's Ironheart, who created a suit of armor. In the comics, they wanted her to be brought to the big screen, to the small screen in some kind of series. Well, they're going to get their wish, because Dominique Thorne has been cast as Genius Inventor, Riri Williams, in Ironheart. So, I mean, it's cool for huge fans of hers. We get Don Cheadle back as Rhodey in Armor Wars. Of course, Armor Wars back in the day was a story about Tony fearing other people getting their hands on his armor, and he took steps kind of over the line to kind of correct those mistakes and those possibilities. So again, this was a huge comic storyline. It'd be interesting to see how they kind of condense it and streamline it for TV. In this case, of course, Civil War was a huge storyline that they condensed and streamlined, kind of plucked little elements of the comics for their needs in the MCU. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how they do that, how they tackle that with Secret Invasion, with Armor Wars as well. We know that Christian Bale is rumored to be in Thor Love and Thunder. We now know that he's going to be playing the villain Gore, the God Butcher. Comes out in theaters May 6, 2022. So it's still ways off. We already know that we're going to get Jane as Thor, which I kind of have my issues with how that's going to go. The She-Hulk series is coming, that Tatiana Maslany, who previously denied that she was She-Hulk in the series. She is She-Hulk in the series. Mark Ruffalo is going to be in there. Tim Roth is going to be in there. So, yeah, it's going to be hugely interesting to see how they play that out. Are they going to use the same sort of mocap stuff they do with Mark Ruffalo for her transformation into She-Hulk? How is she going to transform into She-Hulk? Because in the comics, a blood transfusion turned her into the She-Hulk. So it'll be interesting and see how things play out. So yeah, now I'm back here. And again, it's just my mind is still blown over the Fantastic Four casting. Finally, we can see some moves on the Fantastic Four. It's just geek overload. Just it's steady going out. Wow. So yeah, 2021 and 2022 is going to be interesting for the MCU. I'm sure Warner Brothers DC are just shaking in their boots, because what do they really have to combat that? Except the Snyder Cut on HBO Max, Suicide Squad, which should be good, because it's directed by James Gunn, so it should be good. They've got their spin-off series from the Suicide Squad with John Cena's, but beyond that, and another Batman spin-off type of show for HBO Max. Green Lantern Corps, if they get that off the ground, what do they have to combat what Marvel is doing, what DC is doing? By and large, really nothing. Like, they're getting smashed by comparison, outside of, like, you know, delusional fanboys of DC. And I'm a fan of DC. I like some of their stuff, but when you try to compare them to what the MCU and Marvel's doing, just no, like, live action, there's no comparison. There's just, and I guess you can't even say live action anymore because they're doing animated stuff. So there's just really just no comparison to what's going on. DC is like down here. Marvel, MCU is like up here. And they just keep it going. It's like when they lay out their slate, you know what's going to happen. When DC lays out their slate, you just laugh because, like, yeah, let's see you do one thing and do it well before you start talking about 20 other things that you say are going to happen, but don't. You know, Cyborg movie, we're looking at you. It's just a good day to be a geek. It's a good day to be a fan of all this kind of stuff. So hopefully all this stuff's still kicking around when I finally put out, you know, when I continue to make some of my own stuff, that maybe I'll get a call one day where I get to direct something for Marvel or something, you know, dreams, goals, hopes, that sort of thing. I gotta have them, gotta strive for them. But like I said, in the end, it'll be interesting to see how all this stuff plays out, how it all comes together over the next couple years. Like 2020, by and large, sucked because of the pandemic and all that kind of stuff going on. But now we have a vaccine, so we have positivity to look forward to in the new year and for the next couple of years, due to the MCU and DisneyPlus, because it's just, wow, there's just a lot going on. A lot. It's a lot to soak in. But future's looking bright for TV, for movies, for the MCU, and I am here for all of it. Are you? What do you guys out there think? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me, social media, talk to me there, talk to me here. There's so much to talk about, so much to, to get into. So, man, let us geek.